Hello, everybody. Welcome to, as always, JR here with a uh, special continuation of our Life is Strange tier lists with which definitely uh, is a very long tier list. We definitely got very involved with the tier list. But for this one specifically, uh, we are definitely doing some. Hello, guy. Hello, Napoleon. Hello, what was it? I think, yeah, there you go. I saw Bo earlier. Hey, Bo, how's it going? Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. So this is pretty much if you've seen any of the other tier lists, Life is Strange tier lists that we've done. Uh, this is pretty much more so a like primarily like a discussion, like talking uh, section. There will be visual aids and stuff as the conversation goes when we reach certain subjects and stuff, and we will get like a little examples of certain things that we talk about. So, uh, right out the gate, we're gonna start with the easiest of the tier list to do on this go around, because this is gonna be very easy. Where is the first part? There we go. All right. Where is video? There you go. Wait, that's not the one. That's the one. There you go. There we go. Alrighty. So for this tier list, which is very easy here, is that is not what I want. What are we doing here? Hold on. That is there. Ah, dang it. And because it did that, now I have to re-enter the dang files again. There we go. Wait. Why isn't it? God damn it. Right when everything goes live, everything wants to start acting up. Okay, why isn't it? Well, at least that didn't reset. There we go. Now it shows up. Okay. Thank you. Jesus. You try to do one simple thing, and then the thing just doesn't want to cooperate. All right, here we go. Okay. So, before I was rudely interrupted there, the first tier list is the very easy one, and that is ranking the settings of each of the Life is Strange stuff, because some of these locations do repeat themselves. So some of these locations do have a lot better odds of being higher on the tier list because of the fact that they use them several times and makes them more how do you say trying to look for the right word, memorable, I guess. So right out the gate we get the most basic of the settings, and that's pretty much every single setting that is in Life is Strange 2. Mainly because of the how Life is Strange 2 is structured, where the main characters of Sean and Daniel are pretty much traveling to get to Mexico. And it's pretty much like a road trip game where you go from location to location, and every single episode is a new place. It struggles with the problem of the locations are very small. So there's not much to them, and they're all very random. So, well, I wouldn't say necessarily random because they do make sense as they're traveling around. Like, they go to a gas station, they're in the woods. But for these, where's episode? Okay, this is episode 1. So for episode 1, we had Sean and Daniel's house at the beginning of the game, which was all right. It's a nice house. Like, I would like to live there. And we had woods. We were in the woods for a bunch of it, so the scenery was okay. And the end of the episode was what was it? The motel and the gas station before that. And it's pretty much a gas station. So, and pretty much a motel. So the locations weren't really like outside of the ordinary. They were pretty sparse. So not too much going on. It's more of like a middle. You know what? Because there are other locations in the game that are actually better, I'm probably just gonna put it in C tier because it's not really. There wasn't really much to it because you don't stick around long enough for a lot of these areas to really sink in. Case in point, episode 2 of Life is Strange 2 was not great. Because you're just pretty much in your grandparents' house for a majority of it once you get out of the cabin in the woods that you're in for the first part of it. So, and this episode is, from what I've gathered from the fan base, the episode 2 of Life is Strange 2 is very categorized as boring from a lot of the from pretty much the from what I've seen in the Life is Strange community. This episode 2 is one of the most blandest, boring episodes that a lot of people really don't like going through. Even the people that really like Life is Strange 2 really don't like the second episode. Like, it just doesn't really have much to really see. Because you just have your grandparents' house, you have Chris's house, which is really small because it's just like a little cheap little, like, trailer type of thing. And then you have the little Christmas area when you're going to get the Christmas tree with Chris and his dad. So there's not really much variety, like, at all. Hey, Jaquette, how's it going? This is just a quick little tier list video, so it's not really much of a... It's not really much going... but, yeah, very bland, setting for that. Okay, so we got episode 3. So, episode 3 of Life is Strange 2 was better with the settings. The hobo camp is interesting because of all the characters and stuff that you meet and you talk to, and some of the stuff you can do there. And then you have the weed farm that you work at, which also leads to the most tedious, annoying part of gameplay in the entire Life is Strange franchise. And that's very boringly and blandly doing a quick time event for like 10 minutes straight of just cutting weed. Sitting in a chair cutting weed buds for like 10 minutes. Which was insanely annoying because it was like, bruh, this could have easily just been a cutscene of characters talking. Like, why am I just blandly sitting in this chair cutting weed for like 10-15 minutes? Like, when you actually play it, it feels like it goes on forever. But yeah. But a better interesting location than the previous locations were. And that's also probably mainly because you actually have more people to like talk to and bounce around with. Like bounce off of. So it leads to it being a little bit more interesting than the other locations. Because in the first episode, a majority of the locations you're in, it's just Sean and Daniel the whole time. So you don't really have anyone for Sean or Daniel to really talk to besides each other. So you don't really get like a lot of differing like opinions or differing subjects or anything like that. So it's pretty tough. Outside of, in episode 1 you have Brody, which you talk to, which he was interesting enough. And then you have the gas station couple, which leads to its own set of issues. Um, and then you had in the second episode you had your grandparents for a little bit, but they're gone for most of the episode. And then it's just you and it's just Sean and Daniel again by themselves. And then you have whatchamacallit? You have Chris and his dad, which is a lot more interesting as far as Chris and his dad, like what they're going through and their dynamic is interesting. But location itself, not very interesting. And then, obviously, like I said, episode 3 has like a bunch of characters. You have Finn, you have Cassidy, Hannah, the couple. I forget what the couple's names were. Uh, Penny and Jacob. So I always forget who the couple's name is. The guy and girl. I forget what they are because they barely talk in the episode. Like they're there and you have some interactions with them, but nothing that really leaves a lot of an impression on you. So it's like, eh. But and then you have like Meryl, the guy in charge of the weed farm that you work at, and his bodyguard, and Meryl's bodyguard, Big Joe, who's pretty much an asshole. So it's all right. It's not really a lot, but hey. And which is episode 4? Oh, this is episode 4. So episode 4 was, well, primarily the desert. So it's a really bland location because all you're seeing is desert most of the time. So unless you're really into deserts and you really love looking at bland, empty landscape most of the time, then this setting is definitely not going to be great for you. So we got so you have the desert, you have the church, the cult church, which is not that big. Well, it looks bigger, but you don't really explore all of it. Because you only explore the main church and like the little playground area and stuff surrounding it. And then the living area for the main cult leader Lisbeth and Daniel. And that's pretty much it. Like, you don't really explore a lot of the cult area, even though you could see that there's way more multiple buildings and stuff around, but you can't go there. And then you have the motel that Sean and Karen stay at for a little bit. So it's just one motel room, which is even, is it as small as the motel room at the end of episode 1? Probably a little smaller, because the motel in episode 1 at least was on the 2nd floor and you kind of had like a little patio area you could be at, but yeah, this is it more interesting than episode 2's locations though? Eh. eh. Um. It probably would have been better, but the desert area completely, like, I don't like bland, empty areas. So the desert area immediately like turned me off. Like I didn't really care. So it was definitely like the blandest. And then we have, what was it, episode 5, which has um the hobo camp that Karen lives in, which is nice because it's a nice enough area. It's a hobo camp, so a lot of the area around looks like junk. Like there's a little junkyard area there, and most of the places are all are all are all like trailers and like makeshift like homes kind of, so it's not really the best, like at all. And then you have the border wall area when you finally get to the border, which is more desert. Well, all of this is desert area because even the hobo thing is kind of like in the middle of like a desert rocky area. So, pretty bland locations. And then you have like the border police station that you're in, that you're being interrogated in and stuff. So not the best. I would say it's better than episode 4, even though they're in the desert, because at least there's a little bit more variety and there's more characters to talk to like interact with, especially when you're in the hobo camp. Because you have Karen, and then you have like Karen's friends that are in the little hobo camp that they made in the middle of the desert. So you get a little bit more to work with. So we got, so that's pretty much oh, and you get to interact with David, because that's the biggest thing, is being in the hobo camp, seeing David and talking with him, and depending on what ending you chose at the end of the original Life is Strange, you get to have an update on what happened to him, what happened to Joyce, and then if Chloe is still around, then you get insight on what happened to Chloe and Max at the end of the original game. So it and his trailer is built like with a bunch of like Easter eggs and stuff and fun little like updates and things that you can get. So very, very fun. So it gets a slight little thing because of kind of that, but not by much, clearly, because it still winds up here. Because I wouldn't call, because most of this is the is not the worst, because I wouldn't call them like Fs. Like, they do have some interesting things, but not exceptionally is the issue. Um, so, which one is this one? This is, oh, no. Okay, so we'll go with Caledon. Caledon University, which is the main setting for Life is Strange double exposure. Um, it's okay. I wish you were able to explore the school a lot more, because it's definitely one of those things where the school looks big, but then when you're actually in the game, you find out that there's really not much you could really explore in the game, which is the problem, because you have because all you have really is Max's house, where she lives. You have Max's house, which is nice enough, and then you have the main courtyard of Max's house. I mean, of not Max's house, of the school itself. And then you have, when you go into the school, you only have like two sections, and that's where Yasmin, who's in, the principal, pretty much the dean or whatnot, however you want to call it, of the university. You have like her office area, where her like secretary area, like a little mail room, and there's like stairs that are cut off that you can't like go up any stairs. So yet again, the implication that like the space is bigger, but you just can't like explore any of it. And then you have like the main office, like offices of all the teachers, and then like a little like cafe area that's on like off to the side, and like displays of like artwork and stuff, which is a nice enough area. Um, and then obviously with the offices with the teachers, it adds more personality to the teachers because you see how they decorate their offices and all that stuff. Uh, and then you have like the Snapping Turtle bar, which is the only other location that you go to, and it's okay. Um, it's probably like one of the nicest like locations in the game. Because the bar like has a bunch of things around it. It's a very nice bar. Like obviously I've done like playthroughs of all of these games. Like they're all on the YouTube channel and stuff. So you could definitely get a really good idea of like how the environments are by just like watching the playthrough along and stuff, because we do a lot of exploration and like looking at everything and interacting with like as much as we can when I've played through these games. So you could definitely get a tell of like all the locations and stuff in the game to get a feel for how the environments are and stuff. So with that being said, Caledon would pretty much be like at the top of B, mainly because it's a game. It's a setting where when you're playing it, oh yeah, and you have like the observatory and stuff where Moses offices, where the science department people are, which is also a nice enough area. But yet again, it's one of those things where you see that there's more to this location, but you can't do anything. Like one of the biggest things that was really annoying when playing through the game was you're at a school, You have a bunch of teachers, you have a bunch of students and stuff, but you never step foot in any classroom. So there is like you never go into any classroom, which is really annoying about the location. Is like, bro, I'm at a school and you're telling me I can't go into any classroom? You don't show me any classroom at all? That's kind of weird. So, yeah, that's the biggest issue. Especially when your setting is a school, you think the basic thing that you would show and be able to go to would be classroom. But you don't even do that. You don't even have a scene where any of the teachers are even really teaching a class at all. The closest thing you get to a teacher teaching anything in the game is just what was it? Lucas doing a pseudo memorial eulogy thing for Safi in the courtyard next to the statue. Cause he just explains that like, oh, instead of being inside doing a normal class routine, I decided to take the students out and do this outside. Which is pretty much code for we did not build any of the classrooms, so there is no classroom for anyone to be in. So we're just going to have them be outside. Because that's all of the environment that we built. So we're just going to reuse the location as a classroom. But yeah, that is pretty not that great. And we have the last two here, which one is? Oh, this is Haven. Okay, so Haven Springs. So Haven Springs, the main location for True Colors. I will say, out of all the games and all of their settings, True Colors location is the most lively and colorful. Like the environment of it is really good. Like really good. The colors, the flowers, like how the setup of where the town is. You can go into a bunch of different buildings. You got the main bar that you work at, the Black Lantern. You got a park you can like kind of explore a little bit. You got an old school record store, which also has a built-in radio broadcasting room at the same time that you could explore around in, which is really cool. And if you play the Wavelengths DLC, you could actually be in the record booth and actually be like a radio DJ, which is pretty sweet. And then you have the weed store. You got the weed dispensary you could also go into and be in. You got the flower shop. And then you have like the mine area, like the abandoned mine sections that you could explore, which is also pretty creepy. Especially in episode 5 when you're in like the tunnels and it's like pitch dark and it's like really really like abandoned like tunnel, and it's pretty creepy. So that is definitely a plus. I will give Haven Springs definitely an S tier. Because it's still the best. Out of all the environments in these games, this was my favorite one. Like, easily my favorite one because of how colorful and how they made the environment. Like, the art design and stuff that Deck 9 put in to creating Haven Springs was amazing. Like, really good. I loved all of it. It's definitely one of those things where where you really like want to live in the town because you're able to like explore a good amount of the town and interact with like some of the locals and stuff around there. So it's pretty sweet. Um, and then last but not least, the original setting, Arcadia Bay, which Arcadia Bay is also kind of cheating because it's one of the it's a location that you go into. That's the main location for two games. Because the original game is all in Arcadia Bay, and Before the Storm is also all in Arcadia Bay. So you have the main Blackwell School, you have Chloe's house, you got obviously the dormitories that's a part of the Blackwell School, you got the junkyard, you got the Two Wells Diner, you got like a beach area. Um, you got like a creepy barn. And then you got the dark room, which is a whole other can of worms on that one. What are the other locations? And also the school, the Blackwell as a school, the school section feels a lot more uh, in comparison to Kaladin. You explore the Blackwell School a lot more because you got the dorms, you got like the pool area, you got like a couple of classrooms that you could go into, you got like the principal's office area that you could go around. Like it, you definitely feel like you're exploring the whole school, as opposed to like Kaladin, for example, where it feels like a bunch of things are missing. Which, if any developer interviews that I've listened to and read, the reason why Kaladin feels like a bunch of things are missing is because they were missing, and several areas that were supposed to be a part of Kaladin got cut from the game. So, which is probably explains why there's no classrooms in Kaladin. But either way, Blackwell definitely. I mean, Arcadia Bay as a whole. Also the lighthouse area, but it's definitely. I'll definitely also put it in S tier. Mainly because. Mainly because, as far as the games go, it does have enough in it for it to be interesting enough. Because, remember, it also has the advantage of being in two games. Because even though you're in Before the Storm, you're revisiting a bunch of the same locations, they also change things up in the setting and the environment enough that it all feels all new again. And even as far as um, Blackwell, the school part itself, even that feels a little new because you do uh, you do go into sections of the school that are completely new that were not in the original game, like like the drama club section, like the drama class stuff. Like that is an entire section of the school that's not even in it. That's not even in the original game. So they also like add on a little things. Like also obviously like Rachel's house was not in the original game, so exploring like that, seeing that side of town, like the more like privileged like rich side of town is also a really good one. No problem, no problem, swag. No problem, swag. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely swag. If you check the schedule section, if you check the schedule section, I do have the I do have the schedule set up for a bunch of the other content and stuff that we have coming up. So a nice way to keep an eye on for that. Um, so yeah, so and thank you for the streak swag at the same time. Um, so so it's a fun interesting environment because of all the of all the changes and stuff that they did do. But also another reason why it gets Arcadia Bay does get a little higher on the list, because originally what I was gonna do was I was gonna put Arcadia Bay in A tier because I do love Haven Springs a lot more in terms of like environment. But what puts Arcadia Bay back in S tier for me is mainly the comic books. Because in the comic books, um, Max and Chloe, because the comic books um, follow the destroy Arcadia Bay ending. So Max and Chloe do go back to Arcadia Bay, and you do see like the destruction and stuff of the town, which you did see a little bit of when you chose that ending. It at the end of the original game in episode 5, when the tornado is close to the town, and you see like the wrecked, like how the wreckage of Arcadia Bay and stuff looks. Um, so you in the comics you do see that, but then at the end of the comics, you do see Arcadia Bay fully rebuilt and stuff, and some of the changes that the town went through while it was getting rebuilt. Particularly um, rebuilding the Two Whales Diner, and then seeing the diner fixed up, having the nice little memorial wall and stuff was amazing. And the fact that Chloe is pretty much like in charge of the whole area. The diner made a even made additions to the diner because now the diner is connected to a garage that Chloe works at. That a garage that Chloe runs because in the comics Chloe actually has like mechanics job and stuff, which plays off of Before the Storm where she's like fixing up like the truck and stuff. So Chloe using her mechanic skills to actually uh to actually uh you know, make some money out of it, like try to make a career out of it is really cool. And then it's even attached to a house that Chloe built for her and Max. So having all of that attached to the diner and everything is really sweet and really cool. So I definitely so that kind of pushes Arcadia Bay back up to like S tier is because of the fact of like rebuilding the place and then seeing one of the more important environments, the one of the more important locations from the original game, which was the diner, and seeing like all the changes and stuff that they made to the diner and the additions to it and all that stuff. So, oh, and then also you also have like the gallery and stuff that Victoria runs, and Victoria and seeing that and whatnot is also really a nice little touch. Cause the gallery that Victoria runs reminds me of the would remind you of the gallery that Max visits when she goes to San Francisco in episode 4 of the original game, I believe. No, not episode 4. Episode 5. It's in episode 5, yeah. Because that's when Max is jumping into doing a bunch of photo jumping in episode 5. And then she's like changing like the timeline and stuff like that. So yeah. So when she goes the gallery she goes to in one of the alternate timelines in San Francisco, that's what like Victoria's gallery kind of resembles. Which Max even makes a comment of when she sees it, so that's pretty sweet. Oh, and then you have like the bar that they all go to. Oh, hello. Abby loves story and what was that? Taylor 6. Is that how you say it? I'll just say Abby for short. I'll say Abby for short if you don't mind. I don't want to butcher people's like names as much as I can. I already butcher enough names in the video games and stuff that I play. But to answer your question, Abby, Max is probably I want to say probably 30. I think she's probably going to be 30 in the game. Because double exposure was in the oh, Tori and Taylor. Okay. Oh, your favorite singers. Oh, okay. Nice. That makes sense. But hopefully you don't mind me just calling you Abby for short. But yeah, Max is supposed to be, I believe, 30. Cause, like I said, double exposure is in the winter, and then in the new game is supposed to take place in I think it takes place in the fall, either the springtime or the fall time, judging by the trees and stuff. So um so I believe that's cuz if it's the fall, then the game is definitely already past Max's birthday. So then Max should be like 30. Because I believe in double exposure, she was like, she was supposed to be like 29, I think. Because she's 18 in the original Life is Strange. Max is 18. So, and double exposure is supposed to be like 10 years after the original game. So she's supposed to be like 28, 29. So I would say 30. I would say 30. If she's not 30, then she's definitely like 29 by now. So the thing that makes it hard to figure out Max being Max's age is because double exposure does not have any dates on any of the text messages or any of the letters or anything in the game. So it's very hard to figure out like when exactly things happen. So it makes double exposure very confusing on trying to figure out the timeline of things. And oh, you also say Abby is your real name. Sweet. Makes it a lot easier. But yes. Yes, Abby. To answer your question about the new game, yes. Chloe is in the game. Quick question. Did you see the trailer? Because there is a trailer for the new game that is already out. So that is definitely something I definitely something that's that would be okay, well, here's a follow-up question. Would you are you planning to watch it? Are you planning to watch the trailer, or do you want to like not watch the trailer because you don't want to get spoiled by anything? Where is... Whoa. There we go. Just in case. There we go. All right. So as far as environments go, oh, you'll probably watch it. Okay. So here we go. Hold on. Let me where is it? Can this move? Okay, thank you. Ew, hold on.
There's a can of soup in a bowl, from the floor, corner. Put it in the bowl and heat it up. I just had it. Alright. What? I'm just telling you.
There we go. There we go. Let's see. You know what? There we go. You know what? So, I already put a. Hey, try. How's it going? I already put the spoiler warning. So if you. So we might as well go all in. So here's the here's the trailer, and also on my Kaladin ranking, hopefully this will actually make Kaladin climb up my rankings for settings, by the way. So let me make sure the volume, yep, the volume is going through. So here we go. Oh, okay, so hold on, we'll wait for the ads to finish. We'll wait for the ads to finish. Where's the... Oh, there it is. Okay. But, in any case, try. Good, hopefully you're not, getting too stressed out at work. So, thank you for checking in and lurking around. So, so for right now, that is not what I wanted. So for right now, we got so for right now, this is where the settings rank right now. So the settings rank Haven Springs and Arcadia Bay are in S tier. And then you got Kaladin and the settings from episode 3 in B tier. And then all the other settings from Life is Strange 2 are all in C tier. Which, hey, it's not my fault that you're jumping around from setting to setting and episode to episode. And your environments are very small and stuff to compensate for it, and there's not much going on in them. So it ain't my fault. Oh, you're back. Okay. So let's jump back over. There we go. There you go.
I thought the storm would be the worst thing to hit Caledon. But now, I only have 3 days to save everyone. Help! Moses! but destruction, and there was nothing I could do.
You bought us time. Time that we'll make the most of.
With so many lives at stake, I need all the help I can get. Sophie?
In the flesh. If you saw this campus burn down, then it means it was supposed to happen. Who are you to stop it?
I know there are consequences to using your powers, but maybe this time is different?
Right when everything is falling into chaos. She walks in, like she heard her cue. Chloe? How are you here?
Lots to discuss. Right now, I think we should run.
Chloe.
Let's go, Max! I have memories of things that can't possibly be true. Max, did you do this?
Your visions, the fire, we'll figure it all out.
Whatever comes next, it will happen to us.
This isn't fair! You can't have come back to me just to end up here.
Well, there you go. There you go. Hopefully that answered a bunch of questions. Hopefully that answered some of your questions there, Abby. Which is ironic because I actually have a friend that's also named Abby. So that's definitely very easy for me to remember. But yeah, also if I could speak, rewatching the trailer again pretty much also confirms to me that that the game does take place in the fall, because the leaves and everything around the area look like they're all changing like color for the fall. So that makes sense now. That makes sense now for me. So even more likelihood that Max is either 29 or 30 at this point. But yes, so yes, for anyone that's wondering, with that trailer, Chloe is coming back for the new game, which is called Reunion, and she is back for no matter what. No matter what ending you chose at the end of the original game, Chloe is gonna be there no matter what. So for anyone that, I guess, doesn't like Chloe for whatever reason, I guess you probably do not want to play this new game, because Chloe is one of the main characters of the game. So if you don't like Chloe, then you might wanna not play the game then. I don't know what to tell you. But in any case, as I said, with the new game, because you could obviously explore way more of Caledon and the town itself in the new game. So once the new game comes out, most likely Caledon will probably jump up here. we'll probably jump to A tier most likely. But for right now, it's gonna stay there because we don't have the new game yet and we haven't played through it. So I can't make a judgment call on it because I can't judge what I have not fully seen yet. So we'll keep it there. So that's where this is gonna lie. That's where this is gonna lie. So we will hold on. We will just leave it there. I'll save it once we're done. So that's where this tier list goes. So yet again, Haven Springs at the tippy top, Arcadia Bay right after, and then in B tier, Caledon. The locations in episode 3 of Life is Strange 2, and then C tier, episode 1 of Life is Strange 2, and then episode 2 of Life is Strange 2, and then episode 5 of Life is Strange 2, and then all the way at the bottom, episode 4 of Life is Strange 2. So that's how the settings rank up. Try says that Reunion is gonna be an S tier. I'm calling it right now. Hey, when the game comes out, once the game comes out, we are gonna be revisiting a couple of these tier lists just to add like any of the new characters. Like, obviously, this new version of Chloe is gonna need to be added to the character tier list. And then, what was it? The security guard? Because we saw the security guard as a new character. So they're gonna need to be added to the character tier list. The game itself is gonna need to be added. And the soundtrack of the game is also gonna need to be added. And like I said, Caledon will probably move up in the setting tier list because we'll get to explore a lot more of it. As far as the game being S tier, it's going to come down to one thing. And that is how Chloe is handled. Because they have a lot to make up for. With double exposure. As far as how Chloe was handled. So if they could rectify those things and improve on those things a lot, then the game does have the potential to rank very highly by the end. So we will see. Yet again, we don't know anything because the full game is not out. We haven't played it. So I can't make a judgment until I play through the entire game. So we will come back to that once the game is out and I can digest everything that happens in it. So don't expect a updated tier list right away. I'm probably gonna have to sit on it for a while and let my initial feelings calm down and let my rational thinking brain like actually think about what I played and stuff before I get into ranking it. So that's that one. So now we're going to move on to one of the more important tier lists. And that is ranking everyone's powers. And by everyone's powers, I mean everyone in the Life is Strange franchise. So even the comic book characters, even their powers. So it's not just the video game characters, it's everybody. So with that being said, let's start ranking some of these powers here. Okay, right off the bat, Daniel and his power of telekinesis, which is pretty much all it is. Okay. Immediately, Daniel is in C tier. Triune says, I expect tears. I expect tears, not tears. Not tears. At least right away. Depending on how Reunion goes, technically there's gonna be tears in Reunion regardless. Cause I already know, listen. I already know. Cause it happened with Double Exposure. As soon as I started playing the game, because I've seen all the trailers and everything for Double Exposure and everything when it was coming out and all that stuff. I saw all of that. When I played the game for the first time, as soon as we got to when we're in the bowling alley at the beginning of the game, and the music is kicking in and everything, and you're hearing Max trying to open the door so she can come into the bowling alley. As soon as she comes in, and they do the hiding shot where all you see is her boots coming in, and then she puts down the bolt cutter. She puts that down. And then the camera pans up to where the door is. It cuts to the door. And then Max rises up from off screen. And you immediately see her face. As soon as that scene played for the first time, even though I knew the scene was happening, because they showed it in the trailer. As soon as I saw it playing the game, I immediately started like tearing up and crying. So I already know that even though we saw it in the trailer, Chloe's like first scene, her entrance coming in with the truck, kicking the door open, and then having her like right in front of the headlights and everything and whatnot. When that scene plays in the actual game, I already know I'm gonna start crying. That's not a question. That's a guarantee. I already know that's gonna happen, even though I saw it in the damn trailer. Because the same thing happened with fucking Double Exposure with Max, so I already know it's gonna happen. Okay, so back to Daniel here. Uh-oh. Excuse me. Excuse me. Woo, sorry about that. So, back to Daniel. So, telekinesis. So, he has telekinesis. And here's the thing. The telekinesis power could have been interesting. It could have been interesting. The problem, though, the problem that I have is they don't do anything interesting with his telekinesis powers. They don't do anything with it. Pretty much for the thank you, Try, for the bless you from the sneezing. Thank you. They don't do anything interesting with his telekinesis powers through the entire game. All Daniel does is move things around. He just levitates things and, you know, he pretty much uses the Force to, like, move things and throw things and stuff like that, right? That's all he does. Like, they don't do anything interesting with his powers. And then, obviously, when he gets mad, he kind of does, like, the Force push thing where he, like, does a telekinesis, like, Force push that knocks everyone down. Which he did at the beginning of the game when their dad gets shot and killed. He does, like, the angry Force push of everybody. And then he does it again later in episode 3 during the weed part when they're breaking into to steal the money and everything goes wrong and Daniel pretty much like can get shot, or like a bunch of things can happen in that scene that make Daniel get angry. And then he does the Force push and kind of like knocks everyone out. And also is responsible, because of that, making Sean lose an eye. But they don't... But besides those two things, they don't do anything. Here's the... Try said, all Daniel levitated an angry, what was it, like mountain lion, cougar or something, and threatened Sean a few times, but otherwise he didn't do much. Yeah, as far as the powers go, they did not do anything interesting with the powers. Like for instance, what would have been a cool thing for them to do with the powers would have been, what if Daniel used his levitating powers kind of on himself and made himself fly or something with the telekinesis? Like, do something creative like that. Like, what if they did that? But they didn't do anything with it. So it was like, okay, that just makes your power very bland. Like what the hell are we doing? So yeah, not the best thing. Like, the most impressive thing Daniel does is like rip a hole in the border wall. That's like the most impressive thing he does. It's like, yay, you ripped the hole into the border wall. You actually took the border wall and just went whoosh. That's it. That's like the most impressive thing he does. And obviously these comic book pictures that I had to take, for some reason, yet again, when I go into the tier maker, even though I put them in with the pictures right side up, for some reason the the tier maker, when I go into it, it just turns the pictures sideways. So I don't know why it does that, and it always does that. So at that point, I'm just rolling with it. Try said, Daniel's a child with no imagination. He could have done so much. Yeah, exactly. But Don't Nod didn't really do anything with his powers, sadly. I think Don't Nod was preoccupied with certain other things in Life is Strange 2's story than actually trying to focus on creatively coming up with different things for Daniel's powers to be used with. Sadly. So they didn't really do anything there. Okay. Next. Tristan. Tristan and his power of invincibility, pretty much. I would put Tristan's power in B tier. Mainly because with Tristan, even though his power is invisibility, how they explain his invisibility powers working is interesting on how they explain the invisibility power, and then how they use the invisibility power in the later half of the comics, where Tristan can actually blink in and out between two different timelines, is pretty cool. Like, I really like how they're able to how Tristan and Max are able to kind of combine their powers together, and how Tristan's powers kind of get upgraded by, like, interacting with Max, pretty much. So that's pretty cool. Cause without Tristan, Max isn't able to even get back to her original timeline and stuff anyway. So, cause Max isn't able to go back into the transect, which is the timeline nexus, where all the different Life is Strange, like, timelines and possibilities are all connected into. Without Tristan, Max can't do that. So, well, can't do it again, willingly, on her own. So, you know what? Now, since I'm explaining it, fuck it. Let's put Tristan in A tier. Because now that I'm talking about it and thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, they actually did do some pretty cool stuff with him. So, yeah. And on that note, also, I will put Pixie. I will put Pixie also in A tier. Which Pixie's power is that she could see all of the different timeline possibilities that she is in. So if Pixie exists in another timeline, then all of those Pixies can see all of the different timelines that all of them exist in. So she could see all of that. Which is pretty nuts, pretty crazy. she can't interact with herself though. Like, yeah, she could see everything, but she can't physically interact with all of those different timelines. Which is pretty crazy that you could see all the different possibilities that you could make. Which can also be kind of a traumatizing experience in and of itself. Because you would always have that thing of I know what would always happen if I choose something else. Like, I would always know how that would play out because I could see it all play out in real time. And that's pretty crazy. That's pretty, like, scary in and of itself. And especially for Pixie, considering that she got these powers when she was younger. So she pretty much grew up being able to see all these different possibilities. And going back to Tristan for a minute, cause Tristan getting his power from being involved in a drug deal gone bad and being very stressed out and wanting to like leave the drug deal, and because of that, Tristan being having his invisibility powers activated is pretty was a well, I don't want to say cool, but it was an interesting like events on how that happened. So that way, explaining how he got his powers, like how his powers first activated, and then Max's well, not Max's, Pixie. There you go, Pixie. Pixie's powers, with her powers activating when she was a kid, when she almost got run over by a car. So she almost had like, she had like a near-death experience where she almost got run over by a car, and that's how her powers of seeing all the different possibilities pretty much happened, like activated. So growing up with that capability is pretty nuts. And considering Pixie also was able to grow up and be relatively like not psychologically like scarred and stuff for having this power, is pretty sweet. So cause in relation, Tristan's power, Tristan kind of was in like a depressed, like mopey state of mind before he even met Max. So Tristan mostly got a lot more positive and hopeful once he like met Max and started learning that there were other people who also had like superpowers pretty much. So which is also the same thing with Pixie, because Pixie wasn't depressed. Actually, she's really like an energetic, happy character despite like her what her powers are and stuff like that. And she also plays a big part of helping Max in the comics get back to her original timeline. So it all helps that happens. Because without Pixie being able to see into the other timeline to kind of coordinate their plan for Max to go back to her timeline, because everybody has to be in the same location across both timelines for Max to be able to jump over with Tristan's help. Because Tristan is the one that's able to go between the two timelines, so he's able to relay messages between both sides. So without Tristan and Pixie, Max would be completely stuck, potentially, in the timeline that she was that she had to go into. So that pretty much cements that. So the next, so speaking of getting your powers at a very young age and having very traumatic experiences, let's go with, oh my lord, I'm blanking on her name. I want to say Lily. It is Lily, right? Hold on. I have the comic right here in front of me. Yes, Lily. Okay, thank you. There we go. Okay, so Lily from the Life is Strange Forget Me Not comic books. Lily, I will put in. I'll also put her in A tier, because what Lily's powers are is she has the power of taking away people's memories. And how they visualize that is really cool how they do it. So let me because I have the comic pulled up here. Where is it? There we go. Because I have the comic pulled up here. And let me look for the page. Let me look for the page here. Oh my god, the book does not have episode numbers. I mean, page numbers. Let me see. There we go. So why isn't it not moving? Oh my god. You gotta be kidding me. Can we... Oh my god, can we move the panels, man? Apparently not. It doesn't want to move. Okay. So, in any event, so they visualize the Lily's powers like this. So this is one way they do it. And then they what was it? Lily's backstory when they get to here we go. Here's a cuz Lily got her powers when she was a kid. Cuz this almost looks like she's in like kindergarten. So how they visualize it here with this like tree, like this memory tree that people have, and like each of the I guess these are leaves. Like each of the leaves like represent like a different like memory and stuff. Like I really like how they visually like explain and show like how Lily's powers, like what Lily is doing with her powers, like how she sees things when she's using it. Cuz in this instance it's like everyone is like frozen, like everyone's frozen in time. They don't see her like get up, go up to the person that she's taking like memories from, and then it just what is it? They just there we go. There we go. Now it's starting to... Now the panels start working. So... Because, see, when she activates her power, it's like everything freezes. And then she goes up to the kid to take away his power, his memory. Which primarily what Lily... she could take away anybody's memory of anything. But specifically what she does is she focuses in on people's really bad memories, like bad memories that you wish you could forget. And that's pretty much what she takes away. The problem with it, the double-edged sword of this power, because usually most of these powers are supposed to have like consequences to using them, like some type of drawback, right? And for Lily, her drawback is she's not erasing the memory. The memory still exists, but it exists inside of Lily. So every memory that Lily takes, she takes it into herself, and it becomes pretty much like her memory. Like it's stuck in her head. And she takes on all the emotions and everything that come with that memory. Like, for instance, the kid that she's taking the memory of, it's like he lost a pet. Like, their pet died. So he's really sad about it. So she wants, because she doesn't like that her friend is like, oh, he's really sad. I wish I could make him feel better. So taking the memory away from him. So now she has the memory, so now she starts crying, and now she's really sad. Even though she was pretty much fine before that. But now that she has the memory, she takes on like all the emotions and everything that come with it. So it's not great. I forget if they actually explained how Lily got her powers, but yeah, they don't really, I don't remember if they explained, like, specifically how she got her powers, but the point is she got them at a very young age, and pretty much, with her, because her mother knows that she has these powers, so her mother is pretty nice about it. So she has her take away memories from people. Like, she'll bring people like to Lily who want like a bad memory or something to go away. Like, whatever memory it is, they want it to go away. And Lily would like take these people's memories. So she has like a fuck ton of memories in her head that are not hers. And, you know, psychologically, obviously that can be hard. Because she's like reliving these memories in her head that are not hers. But she fully like feels all the emotions and everything attached to them. So it's a very confusing situation, especially for a kid. And then obviously having Alex's power of reading emotions also helps, because she could kind of like help Lily deal with the emotions attached to these memories. And also, Lily can put the memories back. Because that's what this scene is. Because this scene, which it doesn't want to move again. Oh my god, why doesn't it want to do it? Okay, whatever. Wait, why is... Oh my lord. There we go. So this scene is pretty much Lily putting Alex's memories back. Because, what was it? Alex accidentally ran over, like, was distracted and ran over a bunny. And then they had to, like, bury the bunny. And Alex was pretty sad about that. So Lily, like, took away her memory without her knowing. And then once Alex, you know, figures out, like, what Lily's powers are and things like that, then she asks Lily, like, can I have my memories back? And Lily puts her memories back, gives it back to her. So it's not a one-way street. Like, yeah, Lily could take them away, but she could also give them back. The only downside is she has to give them to the original person. So she has to give them back to the person that they came from. Which is what Alex and Steph help Lily with. Is they kind of go on a road trip to find every single person that Lily took memories from. And pretty much go back to them and give them back. So yeah, they do a really good job of visualizing the her memory powers. Because they even do it with, what was it? With this, it was this guy, right? Yeah. Because this is like, her memory of this, and it doesn't work. Because this is her memory of like a guy that was very like obsessed with this girl. And she was clearly like manipulating him, but he was so obsessed with her that he tried to like kill himself once like she like broke it off with him or stopped talking to him and things like that. So he kind of like went over the deep end and almost tried to kill himself. So he wanted these memories to go away. So he was brought to Lily, and Lily took him away. So it's an example of like how the different styles they represent it with Lily's memories, which is pretty cool. Because Alex is able to see what Lily sees because of Alex's ability to go into people's emotions. So that's why Alex is able to see the memories that Lily is seeing. So that's pretty cool. Which also leads me to Alex herself, which, like I said, I will dump Alex into S tier because, just like I just said with Alex's power of reading people's emotions and kind of being related to like memories, because when she's reading people's emotions, she's also kind of hearing their memories and stuff too that's like attached to the emotion. So it's kind of interesting how Lily's and Alex's powers kind of almost mirror each other in a way, but they like work in different ways. So it's kind of it's interesting, which also helps when their powers are like mixing and how that works. So that's pretty cool. But it's the same thing with Lily too, that with Alex, when she's reading people's emotions, how they visualize that in some of the instances where she has to like deep dive into people's emotions, and then you get like trippy like sequences and stuff. Like the the Steph one was not trippy, except like it kind of like visualized as a rain cloud outside and like raining because Steph was like sad. So you were trying to help her deal with her sadness so that way she could move past that emotion. It's that like that was all right. But then when she's reading Eleanor's emotions, the owner of the flower shop in Haven, when she's reading Eleanor's emotions and we deep dive into her and we see like how her I believe it was dementia that Eleanor is suffering from, and we see like the jumbled mess and stuff, like how how Eleanor kind of like visualizes like the world through her emotions and stuff, and everything is like backwards and jumbled and stuff, and helping her with that, like that's really really cool. And then the other instance was Charlotte, when we deep dive into Charlotte's anger, and it's all like dark and spooky, and then some of the things we interact with are pretty what you call it, they're pretty disturbing, I guess would be one of the words. Like, it's definitely the one part of the game that feels like pretty horror focused. Like, even the music and stuff within the scene is very like haunting. So there is that. Like, I really like how they use the powers, because it's a prime example. Like these four characters here, these four, particularly Tristan, Pixie, Lily, and Alex, their powers can come off very bland, like on paper, but how they execute them and visualize them, because some of these powers, like, how are you gonna visualize that? And they come up with some pretty creative ways on how they do it. So yeah. Oh yeah, and Alex also has that one little scene with Ryan where they're kind of like on a cliff, and then everything kind of like crumbles and whatnot, and they're kind of like standing on this one little patch of dirt, and then everything else is like a black void and stuff. So and then later where Alex's like near-death experiences that she's having, and then all the trippy stuff that happens in there. So they really do a good job of visualizing powers that aren't that easy to make interesting. But they did find a way. Like, they definitely found a way, and I definitely applaud them for how they could take some bland powers and actually make them look interesting. Which is, yet again, the complete contrast of Daniel and his telekinesis. So you have, like, examples of really good, like, creativity with powers that on paper can be very bland. And then not being creative and just being, like, the most basic, rudimentary thing that you can do with Daniel. So that's that. Now next we have Safi. So next we have Safi. And Safi's power is shapeshifting, which is already an interesting power. Like, you could do a lot with shapeshifting. And it's also one of the very few Life is Strange powers that is visual. Like, everyone can see that. Because just like Daniel's power of telekinesis, everyone can see it. Like, it's very easy for everyone to visualize that. To see it visually. So the same thing with Safi. Like, she changes into different people. In both appearance and in voice. So it's not just a visual change, like, even her voice changes to match whoever she turns into. Which in and of itself is also pretty creative. what's also creative that they do with Safi's powers is they give her powers limitations. Because Safi's power is definitely one of those powers that if you don't give it some good established limitations, then it can be one of those like, oh, then she could do like anything, like absolutely anything, like turn into absolutely anybody and whatnot and do like whatever she wants. But they give her the strict limitation that she could only shapeshift into people that she has met in real life. So she can't just look at a picture of somebody or see someone on TV and just turn into them. That's not how it works. Because also, like her power, like they describe her power, how she describes her power on how it works is she has to kind of reach into a person's like head. Excuse me. She has to reach into like a person's mind, and that's how she's able to like turn into them. Because technically what she's doing is not physically turning into them. What she's doing is she's like tweaking, as she puts it, she's like tweaking people's perception of her, how they see her. So instead of seeing Safi, they're gonna see whoever Safi chooses for them to see. That's how that works. Because when she shapeshifts in and out of these people, it's kind of like a flash of light. When she changes, it's like a bunch of like lights, like going off and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely something. It's definitely something. So I do like how creative they give those limitations on it though. So I'll give it a B. So I'll give it a B. I'll give it a B for now. And then, what do we got here? And then I will give it... Yeah, I think a B is good enough. I believe a B is good enough. Right? Yeah, I think I'm happy with a B. Because it's not the most creative, like it's not used in the most creative of ways. Especially if we're just looking at just double exposure on its own. It's not extremely like creatively done. When her powers go out of control and she's like phasing like in and out of all the different people that she could turn into, that is really scary. Especially when she's like on the ground kneeling and she's like screaming. and she's turning into all these people like rapidly, like just in and out, in and out, in and out constantly. It's like crazy, and you're just hearing like all of the different like screaming and like the wailing and stuff. That is like crazy with her how they depict her powers like going out of control. What else? Yeah, I think that's about everything I have to say about it. Yeah. Yeah, it's about everything I have to say about that. Alright, so now we're gonna move on to Max from Double Exposure. And if you played Max in Double Exposure, then you already know that the only power that Max has that you could control, that you could actively use throughout the whole game, is Max's power of crossing between two timelines. Which sounds familiar, doesn't it? It sounds like something that Tristan is able to do, doesn't it? Huh. So, right off the bat, I'm putting it right underneath Safi in B tier. Because the only creative thing that they do with Max's ability to jump between the two timelines, the only thing creative that they do is two things. To be fair, they do two things. And that is that Max can kind of put like a pulse wave, like do a pulse wave, like a sensory pulse wave thing, within a certain distance of herself, and then she could see what is happening in the other timeline. So they do that, and they and then in two specific plot relevant instances in the game, Max can switch the places of objects between the two timelines. So she does it once with Moses' telescope, because in one timeline the telescope is assembled, and then in the other timeline the telescope is still in pieces. So in a particular moment, Max is able to switch the two telescopes between the two timelines. And then in a later, because that's in episode 2 that she does the telescope thing. And then in episode 3, yeah, at the end of episode 3, when Max and Safi are on the ice lake, when she's on the ice lake, and the ice starts cracking, and they're both, gonna fall into the ice and pretty much like drown. because the ice is freezing cold, so you're most likely going to immediately get like a form of hypothermia, and then you're not going to be able to swim, and you're going to most likely die going into like below freezing fucking water. Especially if no one's going to be around to fucking help you get out of there. Max switches the cracked ice lake with the regular ice lake. So she switches the ice from both of the timelines. So that is like, that is interesting, but they definitely don't do it enough. Cause they only do it in like, they only do the object switching in those two instances, and the force push, the force sensor, the timeline sensor thing that she does. That's an actual game mechanic, so you could do that throughout the whole game. But yeah, other than that, they don't do enough creativeness with it. Also, Max can't jump between the two timelines anywhere she wants. Like you have to walk to specific like points in the environment for Max to be able to jump back and forth. So that's mostly a gameplay like limitation. Like that I can understand, but the points in the game where you can jump back and forth, some of them are pretty badly placed. Especially when Max is trying to keep her powers a secret. So that way people don't know that she has powers. So there's like a couple of points that you could jump back and forth, and they're out in the middle of the schoolyard where people can blatantly see you, because there's even background characters that are literally looking at you, and it's like, obviously because of the game mechanics, because of the game, they never acknowledge that they see you jumping, like blinking in and out of existence between two different timelines. Like they don't acknowledge it, but it kind of destroys like the immersion of the game in certain instances where it's like, these people clearly see what I'm doing, but and it's like, how is Max keeping anything a secret when you have people around you that are seeing you do this shit? And then there's even one at the Snapping Turtle bar, and it's right in front of the bathrooms, and it's like, bro, everyone's gonna see you because everyone needs to go to the bathroom at some point. Like, what? Why would there be like a timeline jumping point in this spot? Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of the execution of how they do the timeline jumping thing was a little poorly handled. Especially from a gameplay perspective. Because they could have picked like more creative points on where Max can jump across both timelines. And then we have Max. Well, two Maxes here. So So we got... So we got OG Max. So OG Max... OG Max is immediately going to be an S tier. Like, no question. The power of rewinding is already like a real awesome power. Like, really, really awesome. It's also a double-edged sword. Well, it's a double-edged sword even in real life, because the fact that they gave Max the power of rewind kind of also made it a tough power to follow in the next games and comic books and all that stuff. With every new person that they give a new power to, it always feels like it's never gonna be as good as the rewind power is. And that's kind of been the issue that Life is Strange has been dealing with ever since. Is that they kind of started with one of the most OP powers you can give somebody. And then it was like, well, it's all downhill from here. So that's pretty sad. But as far as how they use Max's powers, her rewind powers and stuff within the game, is extremely creative. Like, very creative. Because Max's power of rewind also has limitations. So it's not extremely overpowered. Because she can't rewind, like, infinitely. Because it's going to put a strain on her, and it gives her gives her migraines, it makes her nose bleed, and it also makes her pass out when she's like really straining with her powers and stuff. Like, when she's pushing her powers beyond her limits, it definitely starts fucking with her. And obviously it could potentially kill you if you like go at it too far. Which is what the headaches and the nosebleeds pretty much represent, is that, like, Max, if you keep doing this to a certain extent, you're probably gonna kill yourself. And that's what you don't want. So, and then as the original game goes on, her powers evolve. Like, she starts unlocking different, like, aspects of her power. Like in episode 2, when she's trying desperately to prevent Kate from jumping off the building, she keeps, like, rewinding a couple of times and stuff. And then the stress of that, like, kind of unlocks an ability to freeze time. So time, like, temporarily gets frozen. And then Max is the only one that like, can move and around and, like, interact. Which is how Max was able to get up to the roof and stuff. And potentially, depending on the choices you make, prevent Kate from jumping off the building. The only downside, for Max freezing time is it makes her rewind powers temporarily, like, temporarily like turned off. So pretty much the time stop kind of puts Max's powers like on a cooldown. We don't know specifically like how long the cooldown period is, but we do know from what Max says herself, because Max tries, is that her powers, that her rewind powers don't work for a while. So we do know that. Which also goes into explaining why Max doesn't try doing the time stop ability again. Because within the original game, she only does that ability once. She only does the time stop one time, and that's it. And then later, at the end of episode 3, Max unlocks the ability to time travel by potentially extreme leaps and bounds by looking at a photo. So she could focus in on a photo, right? And she could go back to that specific moment that the photo was taken in. Well, within the original game, the specific moment. Because you could do that again in double exposure, and it kind of changes the photograph rules. So that Max can actually explore that time period again that the photo is taking place in. So it kind of like changes up the rules, but within the original game, you're only interacting with that area that the photo was taken in. And then you can also do things within that timeline, and it will change the course of events when she goes into the photos. So there is that. So, and the limitation that they give the photos, in the original game, the photos that Max can go into, Max herself has to be in those photos. So if Max is not in the photo, then Max can't go into it. Which is a good limitation to put, because if Max can go into any photo, then it's like then it's like, bro, she could just go back to like, I don't know, the founding fathers' time and the founding of America or something, and just go like fucking ape shit and go crazy. If she could just go into like any picture. Or I don't know, she could go back to like World War II or something. Like it would get crazy if they didn't put that limitation on her. But yeah, so the most extremist of good limitations to put on the powers, so that way Max's rewind powers is not severely OP. Because that's also the danger of giving Max the rewind power, is you could make that extremely overpowered if you're not careful. But thankfully Dotnod was able to give her some good limitations, so that way the power doesn't feel overwhelming and overpowered. So that's good. And then What do we have? And then Max from the comic books. So Max from the comic books, I put over the original Max only because comic book Max can do the same exact thing. She has access to the same exact powers as original Max does. The only difference that they gave her is they gave her an added evolution of her time power. And that is that Max can now focus her rewind powers on specific things. For example, and Max does this in the comic books, is a cup of coffee. So you have a cup of coffee, for instance. Here's a cup of coffee. Like, there's no coffee in this, but just pretend this is a cup of coffee. So the coffee in this is cold, but it was hot at one point. It used to be a hot cup of coffee. Max can focus the rewind on this specific cup and make it hot again. And that's an ability that she unlocks in the comic books, is that she's able to focus on specific things and rewind specific things and not rewind everything around her. So that which also helps during the climax of the comic book, when the storm comes back, when the tornado comes back, and Max is able to use her power to focus in on the tornado. And pretty much like reverse the time of the tornado to before the tornado can even like form. So it's like she's disassembling it in a way, where her time powers. So that is really cool. That they give her that evolution of her time power. So because of that added ability, that kind of pushes like comic book Max a little bit over over original Max in terms of powers, like how the powers go. So yeah, so this is where the powers tier list shakes up. So we got Daniel with his telekinesis in C tier. We got Safi with her shape-shifting powers at the top of B tier. And then we have Double Exposure Max with her timeline jumping powers in right below Safi in B tier. And then in A tier, so then in A tier we got Tristan with his invisibility power. Excuse me, at the top of A tier. Excuse me. And then we have Pixie right next to Tristan, right below Tristan, with her power of of being able to see all the different, like, into all of the different, like, timeline possibilities that Pixie exists in. So that is that's pretty crazy. And then right below Pixie, we have Lily, with Lily's power of taking away and giving back people's memories. So there's that. And then from the bottom up with S tier, we have Max and her, well, Alex. I said Max. Alex with Alex's ability of emotion. So we have that. So, well, of reading people's emotions and, like, going into their emotions and things like that. So, to hopefully, like, help them with it. But, yeah. So, we have Alex at the bottom of S tier. And then we have Original Max with all of her rewind powers and all of the upgrades that she gets throughout the original game with the time stopping and then the going into photographs thing. And then at the very top of S tier, we have Comic Book Max, who has all of the same abilities, the same capabilities as Original Max, just with the added upgrade of being able to focus her rewind powers to specific things now. So that is good. That's great. So yeah, that's where. So this is where the powers, the power rankings, the powers rank on the tier list here. So that is sweet. So, so next we have, romances. So here's the big one. Here's the big one that I know everyone is going to argue. Everyone has their favorite ships. Everyone ships this character together with this character and this character together with this character. So everyone has their shipping. Which is very evident because if you can tell with the pictures that I have at the bottom here, all of the pictures that I have are holy shit, I'm missing people. Oh wow, I'm missing 2 people. Hold on a minute. I just realized I'm missing Sean. I'm missing Sean's romances. Hold on. Now we gotta do this in real time. Hold on. Let me switch to full cam real quick. Alright, now I need to switch over. Where's Google at? Alright, there we go. Life is... Oops. Page 2. Sean. And... there we go. Where's the... Oh, there you go. so we got this. All right. Okay, let me put Sean, Finn. All right, where's the folder? There we go. Okay, so we dumped that in there. Okay, so where is Cassidy? All right. So okay, so Sean, Cassidy. Boom. Okay. All right, so that's taken care of. All right. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, where's the? There we go. All right, now let me add these two. Ooh, whoops. Actually, hold on a minute. I'm gonna make this a little more better. Where's the? There we go. Gonna make this a little more better because I'm gonna do some editing to just dumb down some of these pictures a little bit. There we go. That's better for that one. That's better for that one. And where is Cassidy? There you go. All right, so Cassidy. Go there. Go there. All right, that's way better. There we go. That's way better. All right. Where is? Oh no, that was. All right, let me go back to the files that I wanted to be. There you go. All right. So boom, and boom. Okay. So add. Okay, there they are. Okay, now they're there. Okay, now they're there. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I'm missing 2 romances. And it's like, oh, okay. There you go. Now Sean and, now Sean's romances are here. Now it all makes sense. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start with some of the easy ones. And some of the easy ones are going to be 2 comic book romances. Because 2 of the comic book ones are very easy. Because they're also very quick to talk about. So we're gonna start this off with them. So right out the gate we have Victoria and Zach. Right? His name was Zach, right? Well, specifically Zach, I think it's Zachary, but I believe his name... I believe his name was Zach. Let me go to characters. Yes, Zach. Okay. Gotta make sure I'm remembering these people correctly. So, Victoria and Zach. Okay, so right off the bat, the relationship is already toxic because when you're introduced to them, Victoria and Zach are already always fighting. Like, they're always fighting about something. And it's also kind of funny because usually when Victoria and Zach are starting to argue about something, or if they just had an argument, usually right after Chloe is around. So either Victoria pretty much just gets away from Zach by just going to talk to Chloe, or they just had a blow up and Victoria just runs into Chloe right after. Like for instance, when what was it? When they were in they're in a motel, right? So they're all staying at a motel. Pixie and Chloe are staying at a motel, and Victoria and Zach are staying at the same motel. So Pixie and Chloe are talking, and then they hear somebody yelling, like people yelling at each other. And then when Chloe and Pixie go out to see what's going on, it's Victoria kicking Zach out of their room and pretty much telling him yo, you can go sleep on the couch in the lobby of the motel or something. Pretty much. So kicking him out of the room, right? So they clearly had some argument and stuff, and Victoria had enough and is all right, you could sleep outside type of deal. And then pretty much she sees Chloe and is what are you doing here? And then they kind of joke around about it, which is kind of funny because Victoria talks about her relationship with Zach a couple of times to Chloe. So Victoria is kind of venting her feelings to Chloe. And Chloe is the de facto therapist for Victoria, which is pretty funny. So, but yeah, but it all their relationship comes to a head at some point, and then they pretty much break up. So by the end of the comic books, they have already broken up, so they're not in a relationship anymore. But they still care for each other, so they're not getting back together, but they're pretty much okay, let's start over. And let's just start out as friends, friends, and then see where it goes from there. Because it's also a good parallel and good character development for Victoria in the comic books. Because Zach, as a character, reflects how Victoria was in the original game. So Zack has this air of like arrogance, and his ego is like really high and like all that stuff. So one of the main things that affects their relationship is Victoria sees a lot of herself, like what she used to be, in Zack. Which also makes it very easy for her to understand, like, why Zack, like, acts the way he does and things like that. Because Victoria even says it at a point in the comic books, like, yells it to Zack, is like, I used to be you. Like, so yeah. So, it's really, it's a real, like, good development. Like, even though like, obviously the relationship is toxic for pretty much for the entire time, to the point where Victoria just breaks it off with him. And then by the end of the comic, you see that they're both willing to especially Zack. Like, Zack is willing to change his behavior and improve himself. So even Zack gets, like, a little bit of, like, character development because of the breakup and everything, and coming to terms, like, why specifically did she break up with you and things like that. Because he does care for Victoria and stuff, so the fact that he cares for her legitimately is what kind of sparks him to improve. And you see that, like, there is, like, the possibility that they could get back together by the end. Because specifically, the picture I chose at the end is the picture I chose to represent this relationship is technically after they already broken up. Because one of the things in the comic books is to find a good you can't really find a good picture of Zack and Victoria as a couple, because most of the time they're either apart, and anytime they're together, they're usually, like, arguing. So the only, like, good picture you can find with them together is at the end of the comic, after they're in when they start to agree, when they kind of, like, hash out a little bit of their differences and start to be like, okay, we're gonna restart everything, and we're gonna restart everything as friends, and not just immediately get back together type of thing. And then later, when you see Zack later, that Zack is helping with the whole Arcadia Bay memorial service and things that that Victoria is doing, like a little like in remembrance function that she's doing. Zack is helping with that and stuff. So, and he looks like legitimately, like, much more happier and stuff, and really improving his attitude and things like that. So there is the potential that they could get back together if the comics, like, if the comics chose to keep going and you saw them again, then most likely, if you saw Victoria and Zack again, they most likely would have gotten back together, because by the end of the comic, they were definitely in a lot more of a healthier mindset together. So with that being said, I am going to put their relationship in B tier. Mainly because of the potential and the character development for both of them that the relationship gave them. Even though the relationship was bad, it still gave them it still gave them like much needed character development between the both of them. So and next we have Tristan and Lawrence. So Tristan and Lawrence, I will give them a B because it's kind of middle of the road. Because one, we don't see a lot of it. Because they don't really officially get together until like the very end of the comics. Like you do see like little hints. You do see hints that Tristan really likes Lawrence and Lawrence really likes Tristan. But they both don't tell the other about it. So it's kind of like, for the most part, they're kind of like giving like little like puppy dog clues to people. Like Chloe picks up on it with both Lawrence and Tristan. But Lawrence and Tristan don't talk to each other about it. It's more so everyone else, like Chloe and like stuff like that, that kind of push Tristan and Lawrence, that kind of like nudge them very nicely to like, hey, both of you like each other, like just talk to each other, like get together or something. And then by that point, they're finally together. By the time they go to visit like Chloe and Max at their house in Arcadia Bay. So by that time they're already together. Like they finally got together. So because of that we don't see a lot of it. I could only give it like a low B. Like, even with Victoria and Zach, being you know, like above, Tristan and Lawrence, there was a lot more substantial character development between both Zach and Victoria. Because, to be honest, Lawrence doesn't play a significant role in the story of the comics, really. Like, at all. He's kind of mostly there just to be a supporting character for Victoria's like group of I guess you could say friends in a like play, like a traveling like play troupe that Victoria's a part of. So it's just a way to have that crew of characters go. To give Victoria like a little support, like her own little supporting cast of characters, pretty much. But yeah, that's pretty much it with that. Also, it's also for me the only like gay romance. Like, you know, by gay, I mean like two guys. It's the only relationship between two guys in Life is Strange that is actually a overall, like, positive one. Like, across the board, it's positive. It's a positive relationship between Tristan and Lawrence. So, it's the only one. With that being said, since we're talking about the gay romance, let's talk about Sean and Finn. So Sean and Finn. Now that romance is... Now that romance, I never cared for. Like, mainly because Finn as a character is, like, I didn't care for, because Finn as a character is just your stereotypical, like, pothead guy. Because he talks like a stereotypical pothead. He's like, yeah, bro, like he talks like he smokes a lot of fucking pot. So already I'm like, okay, he's already a character trope in it of himself. But you don't really do anything interesting with him, which is also a problem with the Finn romance, because it pretty much starts and ends within the same episode. So it's episode 3. So instead of the relationship being built up across the whole game, it's a relationship that is started and it ends within the same episode that Finn is a main supporting character of. Because you technically meet Finn in episode 2 when you're going to get the Christmas tree. But you can potentially not even meet Finn, because meeting Finn is dependent on if you interact with Cassidy when you're in the when you're going to get the Christmas tree. Because if you're doing all the interactions with Cassidy, then that's when Finn comes in, and then you meet Finn then. So if you don't do that, then you don't even meet Finn at all until episode 3. So the Finn relationship is very... There's not a lot there. And 2, because of how episode 3 ends, that relationship is also very problematic, because Finn is the one that comes up with the idea of stealing the money from Meryl and using Daniel's powers to break in and steal the money. He's the one that comes up with that plan. Now, there are variations on how that plan goes, because no matter what you tell Finn, if you're aggressively telling Finn, no, we're not going to do that, we're not going to do that plan, we're not going to do it. If you tell him not to do it, he technically still does it anyway. Now, see, Try says, fuck Finn. I said it. No. technically we're not gonna fuck Finn. Because that's the point I'm making about this relationship, is that the Finn relationship is pretty bad. Because, like I said, if you romance Finn, then right after you romance him, you do the kissing thing and you do all that, right? After you solidify your relationship with Finn, that's when he does the fucking plan of going to steal the money. So it's like, bro, I already committed to doing a relationship with you, and immediately you're going to use my little brother, my kid brother, with his superpowers, and you're gonna use him to break into this to Meryl's safe and steal money. Like, I get that the money, look, I get the situation is really fucked up, because originally the money that you're stealing is money that is supposed to be yours. But because of Daniel going into Meryl's room randomly for fucking no reason, Meryl got mad, and because of that, pretty much said, like, okay, since Daniel fucked it up for everybody, nobody gets paid. Nobody gets money. And that's why Finn wants to break into the thing and get the money, right? Because it's money that they rightfully did earn. I get that. But if you're telling him that this plan is stupid and not to do it, because even Cassidy is telling him, like, yo, this is fucking stupid. Like, don't even. If you go along with it and you're like, yeah, we're not gonna do this, Finn still does it. Like, he'll still take Daniel to go steal the money. So that kind of puts a damper on your relationship, don't you think? Like, any future relationship, like, progress that you may have had kind of goes out the window when your new partner decides to take your brother and commit a robbery. And to be fair, that also goes for even if Daniel, even if you haven't treated Daniel well, and Daniel is like a fucking little psychopath, pretty much. If you've been treating Daniel like shit and doing like really bad decisions to make Daniel like a fucking psychopath, if you've been doing that, then Finn goes along with the plan of stealing the money with Daniel. So then, apparently, in Finn's words, Finn goes along with Daniel to steal the money to I don't know, try to keep him safe or something. I forget what specifically what dumbass reason he gives for going along with a fucking little kid to go steal money. I forget what reason he gives. But it's really fucking stupid. So either way, Finn is really stupid. Granted, in episode 4, in the hospital, when you're in the hospital, if Finn is still alive, because Finn can die during the robbery depending on choices and stuff that you make, Finn can get killed in during the robbery part. So if Finn is still alive and he's in the hospital, at the beginning of episode 4, you can talk to him, and he does regret doing the robbery and all that. So you can give him, like, you can kind of get some closure there if you do want to, like, I guess, reconcile with him and confront him for his really fucking stupid ass decision. So you can kind of do that. But yet again, really ruins relationship progress with that. So, with that being said, Finn is gonna go in Hella tier. He's gonna go in Hella tier. Because if Tristan and Lawrence is an example of a positive gay relationship, then Sean and Finn is an example of a really bad one. So, that's where that lands for me. That's where that lands for me. Okay. So now that we got the gay romances out the way, let's go with let's go with Steph and Izzy. So let's go with Steph and Izzy. So Steph and Izzy. Now, most of the Izzy Steph relationship, most of the it's kind of freaking out a little bit here. Okay, cool. So most of the Steph and Izzy relationship is depicted in this novel. In this novel, the Steph story novel. So this novel, one of the main things about this novel, besides Steph being the main character and kind of detailing what Steph was up to in between the events of, like, Arcadia Bay and going and living in Haven Springs. So this novel pretty much, like, details, like, what Steph was up to within that time period. And within that, it focuses in on Steph and Izzy's relationship. How they met, where their relationship went, and obviously what led to their relationship breaking up. Because if you, in True Colors, if you were doing the collectible hunting, when you were doing collectible hunting with the different, like, collectible emotions that you can find, a couple of them give a little introduction to Izzy. So you get an idea of kind of pretty much like how Steph Izzy's relationship pretty much ended, but you have no idea like the details of the relationship. You just kind of just hear how it ended, right? And you don't really have like the entire context of like what happened there. Besides the issue of Izzy is a trans woman. So which is also a very interesting dynamic with Steph and Izzy, because since Steph is a lesbian and Steph is not a trans woman, her getting into a relationship with a trans woman is an interesting dynamic that they went with. Which was also one of the main reasons why I really wanted to read the novel, because that was something I was interested in knowing about when in True Colors, when they introduced it, and I was like, oh, Steph was previously in a relationship with a trans woman. How did that relationship work? Even though we know they eventually break up because of the fact that Steph wanted to stay in Haven Springs and she wanted Izzy to stay with her, but Izzy was very worried about like any transphobic things that may happen in Haven Springs because of how small the town is. And Izzy would, and in her own words, Izzy would be the only trans person in the entire town. So because of her reservations and her being very worried about like how that would play out, is what led to like the breakup. But you get a lot more context of how that works, of how that relationship started and how that relationship was going up until that point. And with the context of the novel, it's very obvious that Steph and Izzy's relationship was going to end at some point anyway. Because one of the things that becomes very clear in this novel is, especially on Steph's part, is, for one, Steph is not very keen on opening up about more of the more hurtful stuff. Like she does not tell Izzy about anything that happened in Arcadia Bay. Like nothing. Which is especially a big difference here, because this novel goes with the Chloe is alive ending. So Arcadia Bay got wiped out by the tornado. And because of that, Steph's mother was killed in the tornado because Steph wasn't home. She was she was staying with Mikey at the time. And I believe Steph's father was also not home. Yeah, he was somewhere else. I don't know if they specifically said where Steph's dad was. But the point is, he wasn't home. So her mother was home by herself when the tornado came. And unfortunately, she got killed. And what is even more traumatizing for Steph is when her mom died, she was on the phone with her mother. So she was on the phone with her mom, talking to her mom, hearing her mom being panicked and whatnot on what's going on. And then the last thing Steph hears is her mom telling her like, hey, I love you and whatnot. No matter what happens. And then the phone line gets cut off. And that's the last thing she hears from her mom. So that in and of itself is already traumatizing enough. And then later, when Steph learns about what happened with Rachel, and the fact that Rachel, died and all that stuff, finding that out, on top of, her mom being dead, the entire town getting wrecked by the tornado, and then having Chloe leave, because when in the Arcadia Bay gets destroyed ending, Max and Chloe drive off, they leave town. So also learning that Chloe kind of skipped town, does kind of put some, a lot of emotional baggage that Steph does not deal with. She kind of just keeps it bottled up and doesn't talk about it with her, with any of her friends. So because of, in her relationship with Izzy, because of her and Izzy's relationship, Steph is obviously still dealing with a lot. Izzy can see it, but Steph is not willing to open up about it. She's not willing to talk about it. So because they both have a lack of communication, because even Izzy has things that even she doesn't want to talk about. So because that they don't want to, that they both put up these walls to everybody, even both of them. So even though they're supposed to be in a relationship and they're supposed to really love each other, there is still a wall that both of them cannot get over. And there's a door that neither one of them will let the other in. So you could already tell, there was gonna be a point that they're gonna break up. Already. So Steph pretty much deciding to stay in Haven and stuff was pretty much the opportunity for both of them to pretty much just end things pretty much. So there's that. But yeah. So alright, so with that being said, let me switch over back to the tier list. So with that being said, I will give I will give Izzy and... Hold on. I will give Izzy and Steph. Hold on. Oh, why is this freaking out? There we go. I will give Izzy and Steph, like, obviously, they're not going to be extremely high on the list. So I'm trying to figure out, like, where I'm going to put them. You know what? I'm going to put them... I'm going to put them at the top of B. I'll put them at the top of B because we did get a lot within the novel. Obviously, we got a lot from them. But obviously, the relationship is not depicted in the most healthiest of ways. So because their relationship overall is not the healthiest because of both of their lack of communication, of, like, you know, letting the other in and sharing in, like, their issues that they're choosing to keep bottled up and, like, not deal with properly. Because of those issues, like, it's not the healthiest relationship that they're in. But yeah. But other than that, it was, and the good thing about it is, aside from getting, you know, more of Steph, so Steph getting, like, you know, more character development, from it, it also gave Izzy a character, because the Steph novel, the Steph story novel, is mostly also giving Izzy, like, a well-rounded character, like, actually giving her, like, a full, like, personality and things. Because remember, she's only in, like, an audio emotional memory that is a collectible that you could very easily not even interact with in True Colors, and that dialogue is, like, only a couple of seconds. It's like, what, like a 20 second, like dialogue thing that goes by. So it's not even, so you can't really get, like, a full character thing out of that. So the novel actually giving her, like, setting her up to be a full-blown, like, fully realized character is also a plus. So yet another reason why I give the put the relationship in the spot that it is. Because it added character to Steph, and then it turned Izzy into a full-blown character in and of itself. So overall, I count that really positively that they were able to do that for the novel through their relationship with each other. And the picture I used here is a picture that you could, which is the only picture of Izzy you could find that you can see what Izzy even looks like. Because remember, it's a novel. There's no pictures in the novel. So unless you find this one unless you look at this one picture from I think it's in the Wavelengths DLC, I believe. Unless you look at that picture, you're not really gonna know what the hell Izzy even looks like. So there's that. So that's how I got that picture, because it's the only picture of Izzy that exists within any of the games. So, which also I'm looking forward to the Izzy novel though, because there's supposed to be coming out with an Izzy novel that focuses on Izzy as the main character of the novel. So I'm looking forward to it. I believe the name of the novel is supposed to be called Out of Focus. So I'm very interested to see where Izzy's story is gonna go after the Steph breakup. Like what developments that's gonna have. So I'm interested for them to build off of on Izzy's character. So we'll see what happens once that novel comes out. Depending on if they give Izzy a new romance, maybe we'll get another entry in the romance tiers, I guess. But yeah. So let's see. So what are we gonna do here? So clearly we're not gonna get through this tier list. We're not gonna get through all of the romances in this video. Clearly. Because there's still plenty that we still gotta go through. So, I think we could do one more. Because there's a very quick one that we can go. No problem, Try. No problem. Hopefully you're enjoying your dinner. You're enjoying your lurking and your dinner. Don't worry, we're wrapping it up here. We're only gonna talk about one more romance, and then we'll save the rest of the romances for another video. So the one more quick romance that we're gonna go over is Warren. Max and Warren. So the Max and Warren romance. I'm just gonna put it in C. Like, I'm just gonna give the Max and Warren romance a C rank. Mainly because it's not extremely offensive. It's not an offensive romance. It's just that there's nothing there that's extremely substantial. Like, Warren from the very beginning of the game is extremely, like, into Max a lot. Like, he is not very subtle at the fact of, like, yo, let's, you want to go to a movie? Let's go to a movie and stuff. Like he throws around, like, so many, obvious, like, I'm into you, Max things To the point where some of the other girls that like Warren, like Brooke, for instance, they even know like how much like Warren is into Max. And they even kind of like, and Brooke even like pokes at Max a little bit. So even Brooke has like these little like jealous jabs that she gives Max. Try says it's not Elliot for Chloe levels, but Warren is down pretty bad for Max. Yeah. It's Warren. Elliot is not even in this because Elliot is not even an actual romance option. So Elliot is completely disqualified from this tier list because he's not even a choice. And even if he was a choice, even if Elliot was a choice, he would be down there with Sean and Finn in F tier. He would be at the bottom of the list, no questions asked, if that was a choice. But since the game doesn't give you that choice, he's exempt. Thankfully, he's exempt because I don't like Elliot, and I don't like really talking about Elliot. So the less I can talk about Elliot, the better. But yeah, Warren does have his moments. He does have his moments. He gets his ass kicked by Nathan to give Max an opportunity to escape. Try says counterpoint. We see Elliot threaten physical violence. Yes, he does. To Chloe. He definitely does do that. But we do see Warren commit physical violence. Granted, it's against Nathan, but it's fine. But Warren is about as low as Finn in my hierarchy of needs. Yeah, because I was just about to get to that. I was just about to talk about that on the plus side, on Warren's plus side, he takes a beating for Max, like I said, for Nathan to give Max an opportunity to escape with Chloe. So he gives her the opportunity to get out at the cost of getting his face beaten up. So that's a plus. And then on the same token, later, when Max and Chloe are getting confronted by Nathan in the boys' dorm, Warren steps in and he can protect Max and Chloe from Nathan in that scenario. So either way, he does knock Nathan out on his ass. And then from there, you could either let Warren beat the shit out of Nathan and take out and Warren can take out all of his aggression onto Nathan. Or you can stop him from beating the shit out of Nathan. Either way. Also, counterpoint. Well, not a counterpoint, but also a positive for Warren is, and you only see this in text messages, also, if you do not, if you reject Warren's advances throughout the game, right? And if you commit to romancing Chloe throughout the game, then Warren will pick up on that and he'll actually send you text messages in support of you and Chloe's relationship. So he'll actually be pushing for you and Chloe's relationship to work out. So that is a plus. That he actually takes the rejection pretty well, and is actually supportive of you getting together with Chloe is actually pretty astonishing that he actually does that. The disappointing thing is that it's through texting and it's not like there's not an actual cutscene for it. Which I wish there was. Like, I wish there was an actual cutscene of Warren kind of bowing out and being graceful in defeat for Max's affections between him and Chloe. So it would have been nice if there was a scene there. But at least they gave it to you through a text message exchange. So that's nice. And the Warren thing also gives me a really funny moment where after the whole Warren beating up Nathan thing, and then you have the exchange between Warren, Chloe, and Max, and then Warren leaves. And then Chloe tells Max, like, yo, he is so fucking in love with you. And then Max, without missing a beat, immediately says, I know. like that is a pretty funny exchange between the two of them. And it's also really cute that Chloe doesn't make it very obvious, but it is funny that there are subtle instances where Chloe is kind of jealous that Warren is trying to get like Max's like attention and affection pretty much. Which the most obvious instance is when they're trying to break into the principal's office, and Max is on the phone with Warren, and then Warren on the phone brings up the movie date thing, and then when Max is talking to him about that, Chloe kind of looks over at Max with like what? Like while she's trying to lockpick getting into the principal's office. Like little instances like that is pretty neat to kind of show like the relationship, like stuff between the three of them is pretty interesting. Just wish the original game like gave us more of those things. Especially during the nightmare sequence. Cause in the original game, you can romance both Warren and Chloe at the same time. With no real consequence for doing so. Which is also something Double Exposure would do. Where you can romance both Vin and Amanda at the same time if you want to. Except in Double Exposure, there is a consequence for doing that. But in the original game, there is no real consequence for for trying to get with both Warren and Chloe at the same time. There's no real consequence for that. The only small, I guess, small instance of a consequence would be in the nightmare sequence in episode 5 when Max is in the dark room and like all of these like alternate like versions of people are like phasing in and out while Max is like tied to the chair. There's one that pops up if you romanced Warren and Chloe. There will be a little nightmare, a little sequence there where Warren and Chloe would poof in and they would talk about like how Max is trying to play the field with both of them. And then they pretty much go like, hey, what if we just get with each other? And then you have like a thing where both Warren and Chloe end up like kissing each other. So there is that. But then again, it's in the nightmare sequence, so it's not really like a big consequence that like affects reality, because it's all in a nightmare, so it doesn't technically really matter. But yeah, there is that. But yeah. So with that being said, we will and the only downside, also a point against Warren, he was friends with Elliot, which I'm not gonna hold completely against Warren, mainly because we don't know if how close Warren and Elliot even was. So we don't know if Warren like even knew that Elliot was a fucking psychopath. Like we don't like try is like good point. Warren sucks now, but as I said, I'm not gonna hold it against Warren because, like I said, we don't know if he even knew like Elliot had like a dark side to him. Like we don't know if Warren knew any of that. For all we know, if Warren knew that, he probably would have told Chloe, to be honest. Like, judging from Warren's personality, he would have probably warned Chloe at that point. But yeah. But yeah, with all that being said, Warren and Max will be in they'll be in C tier. Cause there's not a lot to it. Warren doesn't really have the biggest of screen times in the original game. Maybe if Warren was around, maybe if Warren was helping in the investigation with Max and Chloe, then maybe it would have been a lot better, but hey, that's what True Colors is for. True Colors would take that opportunity to have both of your romance options be around together with you for a majority of the game and actually contributing to the investigation within the game. So at the very least, True Colors does capitalize on that opportunity. Oh, Try said, if Samuel couldn't see that that Elliot was a fucking psychopath, then there's no way that Warren could see it. That is true. And Try continues to say that Samuel sees all. It definitely appears that way, doesn't it? But yes. So with that being said, that will be where we're gonna leave. Where we're gonna leave the romances right now. So right now, this is where the tier list is shaping up. Excuse me. We have Steph. We have Steph and Izzy at the top of B tier. We have Victoria and Zach right behind them. And then right behind Zach and Victoria, we have Tristan and Lawrence. And then on C tier, we have Max and Warren. And then right in F tier, right in the hella F tier, so far, we have Finn and Sean in hella F tier. So that's where we're shaping up right now. And I am pretty sure that Sean and Finn is gonna have some company in F tier when we return to the tier list when we return to the tier list down the line. Sean and Finn are gonna have some company in F tier. I can guarantee you that. And which couple that is going to be, I'm pretty sure you guys can figure it out. But in any case, with all of that being said, as always, I've been JR. Thank you all for watching and for the fun little discussion, little discussions going on during this tier placement, during these tier placements. And I will catch you all in the next one, everybody. Later.